Whenever I take the ferry, I can't help but think of Uncle Stevie. My first memory of Father's brother Stevie was that of a kind and generous man who always had a treat for us. Uncle Stevie worked the ferry boats from when he was 12 years old until the day he died. He took pride in his work, and no matter how much the old boat creaked and rolled on its way across the waves, Uncle Stevie loved taking people to the beach, cheerful on their way out, and content on their way home. The ferry, he used to say to us, is the thing that speeds you to happiness. Uncle Stevie never married, and he lived on the island all by himself, at least until his sister Emma moved in with him after her husband's sudden and untimely death in a skydiving accident. Before she became a widow, Emma had been my favorite aunt, full of dirty jokes and salty humor. But now, at Uncle Stevie's house, lonely and depressed, all she did was stare at the ceiling fan and watch old French movies. Stevie tried to cheer her up by cooking all of Grandma's best old recipes, sautéed vegetables in garlic marinade, and the family specialty, chicken on the throne, which involved, as Emma had always liked to say with a wink, shoving a Coke can up a bird's ass as far as it would go. Together, they fed the deer that came to the house, and the birds too, but Aunt Emma was inconsolable over her husband's cruel accident. For days at a time she stood by the sea and stared at the horizon. The loneliness of the island was crushing her, and no matter what he tried, none of Steve's antics could cheer her up. She began to drown her pain in vodka, and she took up an unhealthy obsession with pornographic pictures. It broke Stevie's heart to see her suffer, and he felt so helpless not even the ferry and the wind in his hair could ease his heart. He knew he'd never see her happy again. One day, while the sun was setting bloody red over the bay, Stevie took Emma through the weeds to a secluded beach to watch the sunset. But in truth, something darker had taken hold of Stevie, and he had decided to help Emma to end her misery. He was sure of it. The time had come for her to make the journey across the water for the very last time. Witnesses heard a whack, a scream, and a splash, but nobody could agree on the order in which they'd heard the sounds. And the police could never pin anything on Uncle Stevie. Emma's body was never recovered. After that, we didn't go to visit Uncle Stevie much anymore. Word on the island was that he'd turned strange and mean. He still worked the ferry, but people said that his pride in his job had turned sour. In his mind, he had become Charon, the ferryman of Greek legend who's paid a silver coin for taking the souls of the departed across the river Styx. To Uncle Stevie, killing had become just another way to do his work. Soon, no living thing was safe from his desire to usher them across the water to a land without pain and suffering. He made sure he used the quick-acting poison, and he left the deer to wander off and the birds to die in the warmth of their nests. No doubt, Uncle Stevie still believed what he used to say to us: the ferry is the thing that speeds you to happiness. In his mind, he had become the pride of his profession. I don't know if he killed any more people, and I don't know if he was haunted by recurring nightmares about running through a desert without end, if he had sleepless nights when the moon shone too brightly. When death came for Stevie, in the form of a slippery platform and a speeding train, it was even quicker than deer poison. The islanders held a handsome beach funeral for him and breathed a sigh of relief. Whenever I take a ferry, I can't help but think of Uncle Stevie, and his sister Emma, and the French movies she loved, and her husband, whose chute never opened, and what must have gone through his head in that minute he had in the sky above the drop zone.